Sup guys, welcome to another Face to Face. Instead of focusing on a video game related topic, I want to talk about something else that I just saw. Batman vs Superman. I don't usually do these type of videos for movies, even though I'm just as passionate about movies as video games, but I actually surprisingly have a lot to say about Batman vs Superman, and I said Batman vs Superman too many times during this sentence. So here's the thing, I actually wrote a review for Batman vs Superman. Oh my god, there I go saying the freaking title again. Okay, so I wrote a review that I posted on my friend's blog, which I'll link to in the description below. But here's the thing about that review. I avoided spoilers in that review, but for this video, I'm gonna go all out with the spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, either don't see it because it's not a very good movie, or just not watch it. Not watch this, not Batman. Oh God, I'm mumbling here, but yeah, if you want to avoid spoilers for this movie, even though it's not that great, don't watch this video. So here's the thing about Batman vs Superman. Even though I just said it's not a very good movie, I still kind of enjoyed it. Well, at parts. It's one of the weirdest movie-going experiences I've had in my life. Every 10 minutes, I was like, oh my god, this movie is so good. Okay, this is stupid. Oh my god, it's so good. It's stupid. I can't believe they just did this. Oh, I can't believe they just did that. Do you see what I mean? I was all over the place while watching the movie. For example, the first 20 minutes of the movie is like amazing. How they explained Bruce's origins was probably the best origin story I've seen in any movie ever. It was concise and to the point. It didn't take like an hour. Cough, Deadpool, cough. They showed it instead of told it. Instead of just having a bunch of words like the Nolan movie setting up, it was just completely silent with music playing as they cut between his parents getting shot and the funeral. It was really well done. Then they ruined it by him falling into that freaking well, then being lifted by bats. Seriously, there were so many pointless and dumb dream sequences in this movie. Do you see how I mean? It was really well done, but then it was ruined by that stupid freaking levitating bats or whatever that was. That was really, really dumb. It also kind of reminded me of the origins in Batman Begins, where he falls into a well, then he sees bats and he gets afraid. It was very similar, but I thought this was better than Batman Begins, and not the movie, just that origin. That was just really, really cool. Then it went to one of the coolest and most unique things I've seen in any movie ever. It was basically a retelling of the last 20 minutes of Man of Steel, but in Bruce's perspective. Obviously, they didn't plan for Bruce to be there when they made Man of Steel, but they added it into this. But it was actually really cool because in Man of Steel, they're all flying and you're concentrating on the fight. But in Batman vs. Superman, in Bruce's perspective, you see how much destruction it's caused. For something that you were cheering Superman on in Man of Steel, in this one, you're like, oh my god, Superman. What an asshole. I can't believe he did that. So yeah, like, those first 20 minutes impressed me. I could tell I was going into something a bit deeper than most Marvel movies. See, the thing I like about Marvel movies is that they're really entertaining. They don't try to be something they're not. They don't try to pretend to be some like pretentious artsy film, but really just be about guys fighting each other. They know what they are. They have jokes. They're fun. The problem with that, however, since there's like two of them every year now, soon to be three actually next year, it's getting kind of old, especially when it's the same thing over and over again, where it's like there's action, jokes, quips, one-liners, all that stuff. It doesn't really challenge me anymore. I like to go into a movie with expecting some kind of story to it. I don't just like watching action. I mean, I do, but it's getting tiring after seeing all those Marvel movies. Even Deadpool had that problem. Like, sure, like, it had more jokes than a normal Marvel movie, and they were more, like, R-rated jokes. I felt like there wasn't much story to that movie, and it just didn't really, like, wow me in terms of plot. And I've seen so many movies with comedy, like superhero movies with comedy. I'd like something with a deep and enriching plot. And I could tell Batman vs. Superman was trying to be that. Keyword, trying. There's very, very little jokes in Batman vs. Superman. And when there are jokes, it's not really that funny. I can't remember any specific joke off the top of my head that I thought was completely unfunny, but it just, like, I just remember whenever it tried to be funny, it just wasn't funny at all. And there was like 4 action scenes throughout the whole movie. There was the chase, which was actually really cool, like at the shipyard when Batman's trying to get the kryptonite. and then a few others. I'll get into what I think about those later. But the point is, this just felt like a breath of fresh air to me. Instead of just throwing explosions at you like every 4 seconds, it was just like it told a more story. Like it tried to get you to understand the characters a bit more. But here's where it falls. I didn't really care. Like, despite all this character development, I just didn't really care. Especially Superman. All he really did throughout the whole movie is just stand there. He barely spoke a line. He just stood there. I guess it's more like actions speak louder than words, but I still just, I had trouble caring about Superman at all. Even though I did feel they did a good job, like, people rebelling against Superman. I kind of like when, because a lot of people hate Superman, but I kind of like Superman when he's not this goody-goody, and there's downside to him. So that was cool how, like, people were starting to go against Superman. He was put on trial and all that. That was kind of cool, but it just, in terms of the character himself, Superman was kind of boring. Batman had the opposite problem. He had a lot of development to him, but it was interesting, but it was so friggin' dumb. Did they have to be like, I'm gonna kill Superman because he got my father killed, and I'm gonna blame him for everything? It wasn't really, like, it was explored, but it made no sense. I couldn't really get behind what he was doing. It just felt like he just hated Superman for the sake of being hated. I couldn't really relate to it at all. And Wonder Woman was easily the best character in the movie, but the problem is she was only in like 20 minutes, so I didn't really have time to give her any stupid character motivation or anything like that. She just showed up, did her action scene, and left. But because she had such limited time, she was really effective. I guess it shows that, like, less is more in terms of these characters. I feel like Batman would have been awesome if he was in like 20 minutes, but you couldn't really do that because it's called Batman versus Superman, not Superman with 20 seconds of Batman. So I would have been disappointed if Batman wasn't in the movie, but I don't know. I'm just kind of all over the place in that regard. But Wonder Woman was awesome. Lex Luthor, do they have to get Jesse Eisenberg to play him? Lex Luthor is one of my favorite comic book villains because he's just a simple man. Yet somehow he's the arch nemesis of Superman, which is a god. Somehow Superman, the most overpowered superhero ever, his arch nemesis is just some business guy. It's really cool what they've done in the past about how they've made Lex go up against Superman. And I thought that was really well done in this movie as well. Going back to this movie had some really good parts, but also some really stupid parts. And here's where I get to the stupid part. As I said, Jesse Eisenberg. He's a good actor. I loved him in The Social Network. I've loved him in all his comedy movies, but he's so miscast here. Lex was well written, but Jesse Eisenberg ruined him. Because he played him like this. He had to make him quirky and laugh a lot and smile a lot. He had to be crazy and quirky because that's all that Jesse Eisenberg can do. Jesse Eisenberg has to make every character he does incredibly quirky. And Lex would have been amazing if they didn't make him quirky. If they just made him some competent threat, because Lex was smart. He did a lot of cool things. But because he was so quirky, it just made him a terrible, terrible, terrible character. Which sucks, because he could have been amazing. He was amazing, but Jesse Eisenberg single-handedly ruined him. He could have downplayed it. He could have stopped overplaying the role so much and made him a Jesse Eisenberg character. Could have just made him Lex Luthor. But no, he had to make him Jesse Eisenberg. Another thing that really, really annoyed me was how Doomsday was handled. Doomsday, like, was the final fight of the movie. And it wasn't against Lex, because you can't really have three superheroes going up against Lex Luthor. They had to introduce Doomsday to have them fight. But the problem with Doomsday was he showed up 10 minutes before the fight. I honestly can't stand in games or movies where the final fight is against someone that was introduced right before the final fight. It's like, why should you care about the villain if he didn't have any time to develop or are you interested at all? I mean, in Avengers, Loki had the whole movie to be developed, and though the Avengers weren't really fighting him at the end, he still felt like the villain because he was the one controlling the Chitauri. With Doomsday, Lex created him, then Doomsday just did his own thing. And that fight scene went on way too long. I mean, I thought it was going to end when Doomsday hit the ground. I'm like, okay, that was really good, that was really epic. But no, Doomsday had to get up, and there's another like 20 or 30 minutes of them fighting. It just wouldn't freaking end. Okay, so that's enough about me ragging about the villains. Now it's time for me to rag on the main purpose of this movie. Batman versus Superman. And there I go, saying the title again, though I haven't said it in a while. So, during the movie, I actually loved the build-up to the fight. Sort of. I mean, I loved seeing Batman and Superman in the same movie and seeing how they get juxtaposed against each other. One of the things I loved about the movie was in the middle, there's a part where Batman's breaking into LexCorp and Superman's saving this kid from a burning building or whatever. I honestly don't remember. That was really cool because it showed just how different these two heroes are and how different they operate. Batman's more stealth-based, Superman has more power, so he can just save him. And everyone loves Superman, but no one cares about what Batman does. That's really cool and something that's never been done before. And that was one of the reasons why I really liked the movie, because it compared and contrast Batman versus Superman, which has never been done before. Usually you just have one hero, but here you have two polar opposite heroes. But the part where they actually fight was stupid. So stupid. I mean, here's what basically happened. Lex kidnapped Martha. Not Martha Wayne, Martha Kent. We'll get into that later. And I was like, bro, if you don't fight Batman for no reason because I think it's cool, I'm going to kill your mom. And Superman's like, damn it, I'm going to go try to help Batman. Then he goes up to Batman and it's like, hey, Bruce, can you... And then he suddenly gets, like, choked or whatever. Like, that was... The reason why they fought was just because Batman was just an aggressive little bitch. He didn't give Superman a chance to talk. He's just like, die, Superman! There was really no purpose to their fight. It was just a simple misunderstanding. That's a type of plot you could get in like a high school drama where like the character doesn't get a chance to explain himself and they start fighting because of a whole misunderstanding. But something I found cool, actually, how it was resolved, which a lot of people hated, was the fact that it was resolved by Superman saying Martha. Because that was kind of funny, actually, because the fact is, I never realized that Superman and Batman have the same name for their mom. And that's something that's never been a plot point before. So this goes back to how Superman and Batman mix into this world together. They both realize they have the same mom, and that metaphorically brings them together. And a lot of people hate it because it's kind of dumb that them having the same mom is why they became friends, but it really isn't. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there was a cut after that. And obviously, like, after Batman got to stop choking Superman, Superman obviously explained himself in the dilemma, and Batman realized how dumb he was, because freaking Batman was so dumb in the beginning. Like, again, why did he attack Superman for no reason? The ending, however, after the fight was done, was actually kind of cool, where Superman dies. I mean, this whole time I was just waiting for him to just pop out of the grave and be like, surprise, I'm not dead, but they just kept going with it. And I kept wondering, wow, are they going to actually have the balls to kill off Superman? And then I thought about it more and more, and I realized him being in the Justice League would be kind of overpowered. He could just solve everything in 2 seconds. So it'd be kind of cool if they killed him off. And he was the reason why they were brought together, kind of like Agent Coulson in Avengers, but Superman's way more important than Coulson. But like, at the same time, I was like, no, they can't kill off Superman. There's no way they did. And surprise, they didn't kill off Superman. I think, sorry if this is a spoiler, but I actually looked up what happens in the comics where Superman gets killed by Doomsday. Same reason. He doesn't actually die. He gets beaten into a coma, and then he awakes from the coma. So it's pretty much what I think is happening here. Especially the last shot is where the rocks lift up. So obviously they can't kill off Superman, but it would have been cool. It's not something I'm like too passionate against them not killing Superman. It would have been ambitious. At the same time, they just can't do that. Oh yeah, there's one more thing I want to talk about that I forgot. The action was okay at best. Like there's a lot of CGI there, especially with Doomsday, who just felt like "Rawr, defeat the CGI," not "Rawr, defeat Doomsday," which was kind of dumb. And especially stood out to me. There's this one scene where Batman goes to rescue Martha. Again, not his mom, Superman's mom. And he fights off against a bunch of Russians, which was really cool and well done. The problem is, it would have been even cooler if it was in one take. That type of action scene could have easily been done in one take. But because they were kind of lazy, they didn't do it. And that just kind of stuck out to me. Like, how this movie could have been better than what it was. I think overall, my opinion of the movie was really mixed. I did like how we had a superhero movie that wasn't just actions, explosions, one-liners and stuff, and there was a bit more of a deep story. But the problem is it was so bogged down by its flaws, which I mentioned before. There were parts where it was like, oh my god, this is so good. How they were like comparing and contrasting Superman and Batman, and especially Superman being on trial. That was something that was cool, but it was just... There's so many problems that I just didn't really like the movie that much. I'm kind of all over. Again, every 10 minutes I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. Oh my god, this is so dumb. if you know what I mean. My name is Nothing Just Go, and that's my thoughts on Batman vs. Superman. Later.